Welcome back, listeners. It's Next Level You podcast here. Stephanie Dingbaum. You guys, I have a friend and a new friend at that, Cate Reisburg, here with me today. Cate is a local health and wellness coach. I just found her via Instagram and found out she was from my area, and then had her come to our local female entrepreneur group, which you seem to like fall in love with. And we've just really built this friendship. We got together for lunch on a Saturday randomly, and like the conversation just flowed so effortlessly. We have such similar views in the world, and we left that lunch thinking like, let's talk about this on a podcast. Like this would be such great conversation. So I invited her on, and you guys, I'm just so excited for you to hear from her because in the world where we are seeing more health and wellness coaches, which I think is great, by the way, I think we need more. I personally do all my health needs through integrative health practitioners and health coaches. So I just see a lot of value in that and getting away from solely seeing a Western medicine provider. There's a need for Western medicine, absolutely, but you should also be seeing a health coach and or an integrative health practitioner, in my humble opinion. All right, Cate, why don't you introduce yourself?
I own Coach by Cate. So I have had this business for, my gosh, like 4.5 years at this point. And my sole purpose is obviously helping women, but to break down their old mindset, beliefs that aren't helping them to help them achieve their goals. Obviously, a lot of women come to me for losing fat, building muscle. And I would like to teach women that it's so much more than that because my goal is obviously to help a client lose fat, but to teach them how to maintain it by changing their lifestyle and their habits, which is so crucial rather than, again, continuing to do 12-week challenges or different little sprints like that never end up sticking. I want a woman to feel confident in their choices with nutrition and movement, have it feel aligned with their life and not feel like that complete burnout that most women feel when it comes to how do I eat? What should I eat? How much should I eat? How do I move my body? I want it to feel natural for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just curious, what got you started in this? Like what made you decide like I want to get into health coaching?
So, a big piece was working with my own coach. I was already kind of interested in like health, fitness, different things like that. But then working with my own coach and getting on to just my own journey of just like, man, it feels so good to just simply know how to fuel my body, to not have to question what to do when I go to the gym and know that I'm working out effectively. Again, just like the food freedom is just a big, big piece of it for me and for my clients to know like, this is what I need to eat to nourish my body, but I also know how to like not be incredibly restrictive. It is that true like balance when it comes to nutrition. And that's what I want for women to just like feel so at ease with how they feed their body and for it to just like not be this constant like noise and chatter in the back of their brain.
I love that. Yeah. Some people just have really unhealthy relationships with food. And it's
Yeah,
like, we need to turn that story around. You need to have a healthy relationship with food.
absolutely. And a lot of that I think comes from childhood. It's what I love
Yeah.
to kind of dig into with my clients is just kind of asking them. And obviously both parents matter, but I solely
Yeah.
work with women. And for the most part, it is your female influencers in your life that really impact how you view your body image, your food intake, your exercise, and just kind of digging into like how did your mom act towards those things, your aunt, your grandma, whoever we were around essentially. And it's really sad to hear a lot of the stories of just these women who remember instances when they were little girls and their
Yeah.
family members either commenting on their body, calling them chubby, or again, just listening to their own mom sigh when she steps on the scale or
Mhm.
saying, oh, I need to go for a run because I ate something bad today. And that's where a lot of the thinking that we have comes from. And so I like to tell clients that it's important to recognize that the reason it takes so long to break down old habits is because most of us have thought the same way or had the same belief pattern for literally decades, like when you think back to childhood. And so it takes a while to kind of like rework those connections in your brain and to just think differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've heard so many stories over my years of counseling about like parents making children get on the scale from week to week and let's see if your numbers have
Huh?
dropped, or measuring their waist, like old stories from adults now telling me stories from their childhood of like mom used to put the tape measure around my waist. Gosh, just so many over the years. And it's like, oh, that makes me so sad that those parents were projecting their own fears and
Hmm.
insecurities onto those kids. It's just sad.
Absolutely. And so I think it's so important, again, to not only change those thought patterns for yourself, but especially if
Yeah,
you have children, to recognize like the power you have behind being able to like create such a healthy future for your kids. Not to say that your kids
right.
will never struggle because again, there's social media and there's different things like that that I think drastically impact kids today. But
Yeah,
to know that you can start them off with a really solid foundation based on just like how you fuel your body, how you move your
yeah.
body, how you talk about your body in front of your kids. It's so huge.
Yeah, it is. I completely agree. Okay, I want to just dive right in. So let's just like popcorn style. What I really want to talk with you about are what are some outdated or harmful beliefs in the health and wellness arena that many women are still holding on to.
Oh man, there's a lot.
I know. So you run with it and
There's
we'll go back and forth.
There's obviously the number one is just the trends rather than just focusing
Mm,
on the basic tried and true. You have all the fad
mhm.
diets that pop up
Okay.
that, again, we kind of look for the fancy. We think that, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like in order for me to make a drastic change in my life, I need to take drastic measures when it's
Mhm.
honestly the complete opposite because we didn't get to where we are by taking drastic measures. It's a slow fade over time where, we just become a little less active. We go through the drive through a little bit more, again, our
Yeah.
bodies start changing. So being able to recognize that, like, in order to kind of backpedal out of that, we don't need to take drastic measures. We just need to take those baby
Right.
steps so it's less overwhelming. But that is
Yeah.
obviously one of the key things is just
I
the
agree.
overwhelm.
Yep, I totally agree. It seems like in the 80s and 90s, the big trends that like our moms experienced were like that was when diets became such a big thing,
Yep.
initially. And now it seems like in our current society, the big trend, we were just talking about this off the camera, but the big trend is like these shots, these weight loss shots, which they're not technically weight loss shots, they're shots specifically for diabetes, right?
Yes. Yes. And that
Yeah,
is
but that's a trend.
And to me, yeah, it's kind of going back to, and I feel like it's just being labeled in a different way as just kind of the skinny culture that everyone kind of talks about, where people just want to be thin. They want to be skinny. To me, I prefer like you look fit, you look healthy. Like that to me, now that I'm in the place that I'm in, that is a true compliment. It's just like, because that just means you look whole, right? Like being thin or skinny does not equate
Right.
to health. And that is a lot of what I see is women going on these weight loss injections and they're not changing anything else
Yep.
within their lifestyle. And so, one, either you're
Yeah.
going to stay on these injections forever, which I've heard the cost is astronomical, or you're going to come off
Yes.
and that weight is going to come right back on because absolutely nothing changed within your
Right.
life. Like it is just like anything else. There's no magic behind it. Like, yes, it can suppress the food
Mm-mm.
noise and help you suppress your appetite. But at the end of the day, if you're not working towards truly bettering your lifestyle, it's not actually impacting your life in a super healthy way, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. Again, we were just talking about this before we hit record, but it's like so many people think that that shot is the answer to their weight loss problems. Or I hear time and time again, like, if I at least can just start with the shot just to like kickstart my weight loss journey, then I can get off of it and actually start making some changes. And it's like, I understand where people are coming from and saying that. I absolutely do. If you've been on a weight loss journey for a majority of your life, I'm sure it can feel like an uphill climb.
Hmm.
Especially, I really do think, like, in terms of women who are at that menopause age or even, like, premenopausal, like, I'm sure it feels hard because I know that your metabolism changes at that point in your life because your hormones change, but I still go back to, like, why do we need that quick fix? It
Hmm.
shouldn't be that should be your absolute back burner option, in my opinion, you know?
Exactly. Especially when you're not, again, focusing on, you're just simply using it as a massive appetite suppressant. And like I've heard of
Yeah,
people eating less than 1,000 calories a day when they're on it because they're just simply not hungry. And well, if we think about it, okay, we're eating 800 calories a day when we come off of it. our appetite is going to come back. And I've heard it comes back just with a vengeance after coming off of,
Mm.
Ozempic, whichever brand you want to
Yeah.
call out. And
Yeah.
so now you went from 800 calories and you're eating 3,000 calories a day. That weight
Yeah.
is going to come back with a vengeance as well. Like it is going to pack on hard, and that is going to hit you really, really hard as well, just mentally.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you ever talk with your clients about like, I had a client bring this up with me recently about how we eat either because our brain thinks we're hungry or because our gut needs to be fed. Like, there's two different reasons we eat. Our brains think we need to eat because we've developed these habits. Like, some people over the years have developed a habit of like breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, supper, snack, bed. And so,
Hmm.
if you've been doing that habit for years or in that routine for years, your brain just automatically thinks you need to eat those snacks or you need to eat at this specific time, when in reality, we should be eating because our gut says you need to eat. Do you
We are
ever
very,
talk with your clients about that?
yeah, and we are very much creatures of habit. I know I am.
Right.
I'm very
Right.
much a
Yep.
creature of habit. And I also like to tell clients that like it does come from like an evolutionary standpoint, just
Mhm.
because we are inundated with food all the time. Like it is commercials. You're driving down the road and there's, Taco Bell and there's Subway and there's all these food signs, food smells. It's on the radio. I mean, it's on billboards. And when you think back again, it's always, you go back to cavemen days, right?
Yeah.
They ate whenever food was available, which was not often.
Mm.
Food was a true scarcity for them. And so it was pretty
Interesting.
much a food is around, we eat because we don't know when the next,
Yeah.
saber-toothed tiger or mammoth is going to be brought down. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, our bodies haven't really evolved that much from that point. So now we've kind of trained our bodies that like whenever we see, smell food, kind of trick or turns on that hunger
Mm.
for us to want to go and eat. And so it's just kind of breaking past that, breaking past those bad habits of, wheeling in to the drive through on our way home. So a lot of it is, again, there's that just evolutionary point, but also kind of like you said, just that habitual where it's just like I've gotten so used to like, this is what I do. To
Yeah.
break past that, it takes some time and effort for sure.
Yeah. And it takes your mind getting okay with being in a place of discomfort with it, I think, too,
Yeah.
for
And I
sure.
think just what we're feeding our bodies, that's a huge thing that I talk to clients about is for clients who have cravings or notice that they want to like snack a lot. A lot of times it comes down to like what we're feeding our body. And
Mhm.
it's typically a high carb diet. Again, there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
carbs, but when
Yeah.
we're only eating carbs, it's causing our blood sugar to spike and then to
Right.
crash. And we hit that
Yeah.
crash and we're like, oh my gosh, I need another snack. I'm hungry. And so we eat
Mm.
another thing that's carby because that's what our body is essentially signaling. Our body is crashing. It knows it needs energy. So it's going to send you that signal that you need food now. And our body also knows that, like, okay, quickest source of energy is a quick carb. So you're going to reach for that processed snack. You're going to eat it. You're going to have that spike again. And then it's going to crash after, 45 minutes or so. And so teaching my clients how important it is that no matter what you're eating, whether it is a meal or a snack, that if you're going to have a carb, you need to pair at least a fat or a protein with it to kind of
Yeah.
have that slow burn. So it's not like spiking your blood sugar and then having that really hard crash afterwards. You're going to
Mm.
feel so
Mhm.
much better. And it's going to be crazy how much you recognize that, like, oh my gosh, like I don't have as many cravings anymore. Like I don't have as much of a sugar craving anymore because you're
Mhm.
supporting your body and what it actually needs, not just what it wants.
Yeah, I feel like not a lot of people get the recommended amount of protein anyways. Like, I'm trying to have more of a protein rich, I guess, diet, so to speak. And it's for years, like, it wasn't, I eat much more balanced now, but for years it just wasn't a norm for me. Like, I just wasn't a huge
Hmm.
meat eater. And now it's like to make that more of a regular thing. Like, it's just relearning new habits, really. But because it was just so out of norm for me, you have to like really embrace the discovery. You have to really like lean into this change, but I have noticed, yeah, it does impact cravings for sure when I do have more protein in my day-to-day diet, for sure.
It does. It really helps
Yeah.
with just your body feeling more satiated, so more full. And it makes a massive, massive difference. But like you said, it takes time because most people have gotten so used to eating just a high carb diet. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's what tastes best, right? Like it tastes
Yep.
best to just like grab something carby like chips or
Yeah.
crackers or cookies, but none of that is fueling us in the way that we need it to be. And it's not to say that we can't have those things, but again, I always say if you're going to have that cookie, you need to pair it with something. Have some Greek yogurt
Yes.
with it. It's
Yeah.
going to make a massive difference with one, you're actually going to fill your stomach because you're going to eat that one cookie and you're not going to be satisfied. So you're going to go back for a second or a third cookie. And two, it's going to help that blood sugar stabilization, which is the thing that kind of cuts back on the sugar cravings that most people
Hmm.
have.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. What is another maybe outdated or harmful belief in the health and wellness industry?
Honestly, I would say just always promoting diets, right? Like I help
Yeah.
women lose fat, right? But teaching women that we need to learn how to live outside of a diet because I think so many women are just chronically thinking about needing to lose the next 5 to 10 pounds that even once they get there, they have no idea how to maintain it. Because one, they're doing diets that are just so hard to sustain, right? Like you're
Yeah.
slashing calories, you don't eat a single carb, or you're just killing yourself with cardio. And so
Hmm.
once that diet is over or you're sick of the diet, right? You're just burnt out. You do a complete 180 and go right back to your old set of habits and lifestyle. And so a big piece of my program is teaching women how to maintain. Like, yes, the fat loss part is important, but fat loss literally does not matter if we can't maintain it because we have to stop with that just cycle of I lost 30 pounds, but then 3 months later, I gained 40 back. And I'm in an even worse position than when I started. And so, learning what your lifestyle needs to look like in a diet, but more importantly, outside of that diet, if you actually want
Yeah.
to be able to maintain and continue making progress long term.
So I'm assuming you do a lot of habit building with your clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you approach that?
It is all about reps and taking it small is the biggest thing because
Yep.
again,
I
when it
agree.
comes to most diets, it is let's do everything all at once because again, a lot of people are approaching it with, maybe an 8 or 12-week mindset of just like I'm doing a month-long challenge and I'm going to do it all at once. You're going to be burnt out. By like
Right.
week 3 or 4, you are going to be so burnt out. So we need to take it slow. And
Yes.
a big piece for me is meeting my clients where they're at. Like if you're
Mhm.
only hitting 3,000 steps a day, I'm not giving you a 10,000 step goal. That makes zero sense because you are going to hate it. Your body is going to hate
Right.
it. Maybe we're going
Right.
to start with like a 4 to 5K step goal. If you're only hitting 60 grams of protein, I'm not giving you a 100 grams of protein goal. We're going to shoot for, maybe 80 grams of protein. And so again, it's taking it slow. It's meeting yourself where you're at rather than thinking you need to be in this certain place right now. Because when we
Okay.
take those baby steps, you're actually going to be able to sustain what you're doing and build off of that progress, which is so huge for habits. Because I always like to tell clients that, like, whether you think so or not, you have habits into your life, whether they're negative or
Mhm.
positive. Like,
Mhm.
you can either get home from work and sit on the couch and watch TV. That's a
Oop.
habit. Or you
Yep.
can get outside and go for a walk. That is a habit. So we have all
Yep.
built habits. It's just whether they benefit us or not.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very well said. What do you so for clients that maybe like you find fall off track again and again and again, or what I would say they're actually doing is self-sabotaging over and over again. How do you tend to approach that? Because I feel like we don't always know that what we're doing is self-sabotage, and it takes somebody like me or you pointing that out to them. But I'm just curious how you approach that.
So one, a big piece is because a lot of clients will like say, like, I'm the type that falls off track a lot. And
Right.
so one, I usually like to reassure them and just be like, well, one of the biggest problems is you coming at it from an unsustainable approach, right? Like
Hmm.
not what we do here. And so just that alone, giving them a sustainable approach is huge. And but then also having them recognize that like the journey is never going to be perfect because I do think
Right.
that when people start working with a coach, I think it's that people pleasing mentality of just like
Totally.
I want you to be proud of me. I want to
Hmm.
please you. And then the guilt and overwhelm of when they don't do everything perfectly. And so it's just
Hmm.
reminding them that, like, the purpose is not to be perfect, like, at all. I'm not perfect in my
Right.
life. I would never expect my clients to be perfect
Yeah.
because I always like to tell them that the people who seem to be living that perfect, like, they never have a day off from like health and wellness. They never have that like Friday night pizza with their family their life isn't fun. It's
Mhm.
really not. They're not
Mhm.
truly enjoying their life. They are so sucked in and self absorbed with this health and wellness aspect that they're
Yeah.
missing out on just like a lot of life essentially. And so just again reminding them that the goal is not perfection. It's just all about us putting in the reps over and over and over again, because I'm sure you see it, weekends is just a
Yep.
big piece for anyone, whether
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if it's movement or nutrition or mindset. That's just kind of where people fall off. And so just utilizing the weekend as just like a new trial. We get a fresh slate every single weekend to go in and do our best to have a weekend that like we feel really aligned with, right? Like what does that feel like for you to go into a weekend and be like, that felt successful? Because for
Right.
different people, that's going to look and feel differently.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just curious in terms of like your typical clients that you work with, do you find that you have to almost help them to like unlearn some aspects in the health and wellness journey that they're on? Like, because society
Absolutely.
has shaped us to think a certain way about our health and whatnot, and Western medicine versus holistic and all of that. Like, do you find that there's some just very limiting, unhealthy, outdated beliefs that you're trying to help them unlearn?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially like for the most part, when I'm starting with a client, and again, every client is different. So they're going to get some
Yeah.
different protocols. But for the most part, women who are coming to me looking for weight loss or fat loss specifically, we're starting out just focusing on habits a lot of times the first 3 months. And to them, they think they should be immediately cutting calories. How much cardio do I need to be doing? It's just instantly going into again, kind of this spiral of like what they've done in the past for dieting and helping them learn that like we're doing things differently and this is why. And so just strictly focusing on, again, just habit building, focusing on getting your steps up. Again, if I have a client who is okay with tracking macros and, doing like just calories and protein, we're focusing on a healthy amount of calories and just like, what does that look like on what does that feel like? What does enough protein look like for you? Rather than like, all right, we're gonna, slash 500 calories and put you in a fat loss phase, even though you have zero clue how you're gonna be able to maintain that. So a lot of times we're starting with just habit building and some maintenance before going into an intentional fat loss phase. And what most clients begin to recognize is that them just tightening up their lifestyle of increasing movement, working out, eating just consistently, eating balanced meals, more protein, more fiber, that the fat loss starts happening even without being in an intentional fat loss phase. And it doesn't feel hard. Like that is the
Yeah.
biggest thing for most clients is they're just like, my body's starting to change and it doesn't feel incredibly hard or like I absolutely hate my life because it's me just making just better choices, every single day, just here and there. And I think that is just the biggest thing to focus on with a lot of my clients is again, breaking away from that need to just instantly hit a fat loss phase or anytime I
Yes.
feel a little bit like fluffy or the scale went up two
Mhm.
pounds, like I need to drop my calories. So it's
Yeah.
working through a lot of just, again, like you said, just old thoughts and ideas and narratives that women have just been taught, unfortunately, for a very long time.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you don't just look at diet and exercise. I mean, what I feel like a lot of health coaches do is it's more of that holistic approach. Like you're looking, like you mentioned before, you're looking at their daily habits. You're not just looking at the food intake, you're not just looking at movement, but it's kind of like a whole body approach and you help
Absolutely.
them with their mindset, I'm assuming too. And I mean, how can you not? Like that's just a part of any
Yep.
health journey, I feel like, right?
It is. And just,
Yeah.
again, not just mindset, but your inner health too, and helping clients
Mhm.
recognize like those two things have to be combined because, like I mentioned earlier, you can be skinny, but you can be incredibly unhealthy on the inside.
Yeah.
You could lose your
Yeah.
period, your hair could be falling out, your nails are brittle, you feel tired and cold all the time. That's not
Mhm.
living your best life just because you're a
No.
size 2 in jeans. Like that
Right.
doesn't mean anything. And so, again, we get into bowel movements and periods. And a lot of
Yep.
people are always kind of like, TMI. And I'm like, no such thing
Nope.
as TMI. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is your body. Like, this is just what humans do. Like,
Yep.
it helps me know that your body's working in the way that it should. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of women don't understand how their body is supposed to work because of more like Western medicine and just, oh, you're just chronically constipated. And it's just like, no,
Yeah.
they don't eat fiber. If they
Right.
just
Right.
increased their fiber intake, they would probably have daily bowel movements,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
just certain things within their menstrual cycle that is considered normal. And it's like, it's not like, and honestly,
Yes.
once we start just focusing on just the bare minimum things like I talked about, just like sleeping better and your mindset and getting more movement and sunshine and being outside and eating better, it's crazy how those things start improving, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, wow,
Yep.
like I don't have such intense PMS. Like I don't feel like I want to rage out 2 weeks out of the month because I'm truly
Right.
taking care of my body from the inside out. And just helping clients recognize that importance that like fat loss is cool, but that's just like skimming the surface of what
Yep.
we are capable of and how we actually want to feel.
I agree. And I feel like the general public is not very knowledgeable when it comes to understanding like how things like our hormones, therefore our period cycle, impacts our weight loss, weight gain, our our mental health. Like there's so many different areas that our hormones impact, but I feel like the general public doesn't know that because when I educate my therapy clients on that, a lot of them are like, "Oh my god, I had no idea." I'll tell a lot of them like, before you decide to take a medication, would you maybe do yourself a favor and consider going to get some lab work done. I specifically would like you to
Hmm.
check your magnesium levels because a lot of people don't know that a magnesium deficiency, for instance, mirrors the symptoms of a magnesium deficiency are the exact same symptoms of anxiety. And a lot of people don't know that. And so I
Yeah,
just always encourage them like, I know your primary care provider is suggesting anti-anxiety meds, but before you even consider taking that, will you just please just have them check your magnesium levels because you don't know what you don't know. And so there's things like that. That's just an example, but there's things like that that a lot of like the general public just doesn't know. And like you brought up the
absolutely.
periods, that's another great example. Like I didn't know growing up that these extremely like nauseous cramps from month to month weren't normal. I mean, my provider told me they were completely normal. My provider
Hmm.
also told me that birth control would fix it. And then here I am 20 plus years later, went through a fertility journey and realized that was not the answer to my problems back then. But again,
No,
they didn't know what they didn't know. And so I feel like these are things that people like you, health coaches, you're so valuable in that way because you get to teach people about these habits and also these norms that have been created in our society that we kind of need to dispel and educate
absolutely.
you on.
Like you said, birth control is a big one. I was only
Yeah.
on it for a couple of years. And so thankfully wasn't on it super long term, but it is given out like candy. Like it
Right.
is such a band-aid, and a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
women like to, kind of take up their arms and talk about like women getting back into like the workforce. And if you want to use it for that, to be able to prevent a pregnancy, absolutely go for it. But one, when we actually like understand our cycle, it's relatively easy to
Hmm.
not get pregnant.
Yep. Yep.
We can learn our body a lot better. We can learn the signs. And again, just being able to like recognize that when we're taking a pill to just simply cover up a symptom, it's not making it better. These young
Right.
girls that are being put on birth control for acne or because they don't want a period because they're an athlete. I'm just like,
Yeah.
it is mind blowing that this is what we are doing in our culture, this pill that honestly hasn't even been like re-looked at since its
No.
creation, like
Right.
50, 60 years ago. Nothing about it has been improved, which is just women's health as a whole. They don't
Right.
really care. They don't look into it. And
Mhm.
it's just wild how many women are on
Yeah.
it. And kind of like you said, with infertility, to see the rising rates of infertility in our society,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
can we not draw conclusions that like, wow, like women are being put on this in the most pivotal years of their life as their
Hmm.
body is changing, they're getting their cycle, and it's just being shut off like a light switch.
Right.
It's,
Yeah.
I don't
It
know.
just goes to show, like, if for anybody that doesn't know, like, your birth control pills and shots are just synthetic hormones that are being pumped into your body. And so, over years, even months potentially, but over years of putting this into your body, your body gets used to these synthetic hormones being there. And so, then when you get off of it, your hormones are going to be out of whack. And if they're not, like, consider yourself lucky. But typically, your hormones are going to be out of whack because your body has just gotten so used to these synthetic hormones being present. And then all of a sudden, they're not. And it can throw things off. I mean, I'm telling you from my lived experience, but this is also what I've learned from integrative practitioners that have educated me on this.
Hmm.
And so it's just really important to understand that piece of the science behind birth control and why it can be, yes, it's a band-aid fix, and yes, it can be helpful in some ways, I suppose, but there's also other ways, healthier ways to prevent a pregnancy, in my opinion, if you're wanting to talk about long-term health.
Yeah, especially like when you have these girls or women going
Yeah.
on birth control to quiet symptoms that they're having,
Yeah.
and it helps it. That right there shows that you have like a hormonal just like imbalance. Something is kind of out of whack within your body if a birth control pill fixes it, those synthetic
Right.
hormones. But it's not actually fixing it. It's just making it
No.
quiet until you decide to
Yep.
come off of birth control for whatever
Yep.
reason. And a lot of
Yep.
times, those symptoms that you covered up are going to come back with a vengeance. You are going to get horrendous acne or the headaches that you tried to cover up with the really bad cramps. And you're going
Yeah.
to be thinking, like, I need to go back on birth control because that's the only thing that fixed me. But nothing
Mhm.
was fixed in all those years that you were on it, which is the frustrating part.
Right.
And again, like you said,
Yeah.
just something that a lot of women don't know because again, you don't know what you don't
No.
know. And
Right.
we put a lot of trust in our providers to give us honest information, and I just
Mhm.
don't think that that's what's being done. Like there is an
Right.
extreme lack of informed consent within
Yeah.
Western medicine. And it's really, really
Yeah.
frustrating because a lot of it is geared towards women, where it's
Yeah.
just like we deserve to know what this is doing to our body. Like
Right.
we deserve to know what all the side effects are going to be when we come
Yeah.
off the pill. And that's just
Yeah.
not, it's not happening.
Yeah, I completely agree. Another topic I'm curious about, and maybe this isn't your area of expertise, so if it's not, just let me know. But do you do anything with your clients with fasting, or are you educated on the world of fasting at all? Or what's your
I'm
take on
not.
fasting? Okay,
I
just
think
curious, because some are and some aren't, honestly.
I'd say just like my opinion, just coming from like
Yeah.
the women and the clientele that I work with who already really, really struggle with food and diets and, food noise is if you're already struggling just doing the bare basics, you're probably really, really going to struggle with doing any type of fasting. So again, I don't know the ins and outs of like the health benefits that you can get from it, but just coming from like just a healthy relationship with food. Most of these people have
Hmm.
done such severe or strict diets that a lot of times this just feels like a new diet for them. And they're just viewing
Hmm.
it as a way to lose fat, not to necessarily help their body, if that makes sense. So it's like they're already struggling to like hit protein and get in fiber and just increase quality foods. And so now they're going to switch to intermittent fasting and they're just hoping that it's going to cut some calories off so they lose fat. Typically for my clients,
Just
it's not
curious.
something I suggest just coming from that
Sure.
standpoint if they have an unhealthy relationship with food.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I know there's like a mixture of health coaches that some dive deep into that with their clients and some it's not their area of expertise. So that was just something I'd never asked you before. So I was just curious.
Yeah. And if I have a
Awesome.
client, because I have clients who work with functional health practitioners. And so if they have their
Yeah.
practitioner that tells them, like I currently have one right now that's working, she got like labs done and
Okay.
is working on some things and she has a protocol for fasting. And so just helping them with that
Yeah.
protocol, right? So it's like I'm not anti fasting by any means, but just
No,
recognizing
absolutely.
my
Yeah.
clients and where they're at is a big piece of it.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Trying to think.
So, like, okay, so in the world of fitness, and obviously, like, you want your clients to incorporate more movement into their day to day routine. My personal journey right now is I'm trying to incorporate more strength training because I'm in my 30s now. Well, I'm mid 30, or mid 30s. I hear from my integrative practitioner, like, you need to be doing more strength training. This is really important. Let's strengthen your muscles, especially as I was in the fertility journey. At the time, she was like, you can constantly be working on this. But I'm curious, I know you meet your clients where they're at, but what are some common goals when it comes to like fitness goals, fitness routines? Do you recommend like hit type style? Do you recommend strength training a lot? I don't
Yep.
know. Do you have any like go tos?
Absolutely. I am very much pro traditional strength training, resistance
Cool.
training. And so
Okay.
I always like to clarify because I think some women are like, yeah, I do that. I use weights in my program. And it's a lot of zero rest, are sweating, their heart rate is incredibly high. Think of like Orange Theory or, just like the high intensity type workouts. It's always circuit work. And those things can have their place. But
Yeah.
truly,
Yeah.
if we want to build muscle, we want to be doing traditional strength training because, like you said, once we hit the age of 30, our muscle mass starts decreasing pretty
Oh,
drastically every single decade.
okay.
I think it's like,
Wow.
gosh, is it like 2%? I mean, it's a culmination of just
Okay.
like over the years, our muscle mass really starts deteriorating after the age of
Okay.
30. And it's a very much, if you don't use it, you lose it. And
Right.
I always like to tell clients, like, look at, you know, the geriatric population.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see an older person, that simple fall can break their bones. And that comes from muscle loss. And a lot of people don't
Mm.
recognize that muscle loss causes really weak bones. That's where osteoporosis comes from. And so when we can, and you can see or like look up scans of, someone who continues weight training and someone who doesn't, and it'll show like their muscle mass around the bone, and the person that obviously has muscle mass has a strong healthy bone, and the person that doesn't, it's just atrophied, it is a super weak bone, like definitely has osteoporosis, it's shrunken, it's smaller. And so that is like one of the things that I am very, even if you can only lift weights once a week, twice a week, like doing something is so much better than doing nothing at all. Obviously, we can get more specific. Like, yes, it matters to continue increasing your weight and like challenging your muscles, but just simply doing some type of weight bearing exercise is going to benefit you so greatly. Like, not just now when it comes to like changing your physique, what I always tell clients,
Right.
like, women want to look more toned, that is
Mm-hmm.
specifically coming from muscle. Like, if you do not have an appropriate amount of muscle, you're never going to look toned. So you can run all you want, but if you're not lifting the weights to put that muscle on, you're never going to look defined. You're never going to look toned. And
Yeah.
so, just coming from a physique standpoint of what a lot of women love, right? Like, everyone's like, oh my, Carrie Underwood's legs. And I'm like, she lifts weights, she
Yeah.
squats, like she does
Yeah.
deadlifts, like
Mm.
she's not an Orange Theory doing, 48 jumping jacks or jump squats or things like that. Like, she is
Yeah.
lifting weights to get that physique. And so,
Mm-hmm.
again, not just body image wise, but the rest of our life. Like, do you want to be able to
Yeah.
get off the toilet unassisted, 75 or
Mm-hmm.
80? I know I do.
Yep.
I know that
Yep.
I want to be independent as long as possible. And I
Yep.
know that me going to the gym and lifting weights is going to get me there. Like, pretty
Mm-hmm.
surefire way of staying really
Yeah.
independent is making sure that you are putting on muscle mass. It is incredibly huge. All my clients, again, they go through certain phases of maybe adding in more endurance or cardio, but for the most part,
Yeah.
it is just a lot of like tried and true strength training where you're doing 6 to 12 reps and you're going to take a 60-second to 2 minute rest in between. And maybe it's going to feel boring because you're so used to cardio, but you're going to get far greater results like long term from working out that way. And I will say, for most women, when they do transition to that type of lifting, they love it so much more. They're just like, wow, my body's not chronically inflamed. It's not chronically sore. Like, my joints aren't achy all the time. Because if you're walking out of your workout class feeling like you got hit by a bus, I've heard that so many times. Like, I feel like I need a
Yeah.
cane walking out of there. I'm like, you should not be feeling that way. That is not a
Mm-hmm.
positive way to feel after a
Yeah.
workout. And so,
Yeah.
just doing the tried and true, again, just traditional strength training is going
Mm-hmm.
to get you the physique that you want. It's going to help you long term with your body and your goals and staying healthy and independent. And you're not going to feel miserable after you do it. Like,
Right.
that is one of the biggest
Yeah.
things that most of my clients, like, we start in on is strength training. And again, it's meeting them where they're at, where I might have a really busy mom who has 4 kids and she's like, I can work out twice a week for 20 minutes. Cool, we're going to schedule that in, and that's where we're starting from. I might have some that can do 4 times a week, and that is typically
Mm-hmm.
like the max of what I do. I don't have a single client that works out more than 4 times a week because, again, another mindset thing
Rest.
that a lot of women need to break down is rest. Our body needs
Yeah.
rest and recovery from
Yes.
lifting, from exercising. It doesn't mean be a couch potato. We can find
Right.
that middle ground, we can find that gray
Yep.
area. But most of my clients I would say work out 3 to 4 times a week. And again, the timing
Nice.
varies, but I would say
Sure.
it's usually no more than 45 minutes. Like, we don't need to be in the gym for hours upon hours every single
No,
week. Like, it's not
no.
necessary. And most people don't have time for that. And again, that's where people get
Right.
burnt out is they're doing too much that doesn't need to be
Yes.
happening.
Yeah. I used to think that workouts, like for me, I went through a heavy phase where it was like it had to be like circuit training or hit workouts. And then
Mhm.
I found out my adrenal glands were depleted. And then my whole outlook on workouts just completely changed. And then I went more into yoga and strength training and just I feel like it was a complete 180 and I felt so much better when I went more towards lifting and yoga than I did
Mhm.
after like a hit workout, which we're talking like my late 20s early 30s when I mean what really wasn't that long ago in the grand scheme of
Yeah.
things, so it's so crazy to me, but yeah.
Absolutely. No, I had my days where I went to Orange Theory like probably 4 times a week or something like that. And I mean, I saw some change. A lot of women will in the beginning, they'll see like fat loss change, but that's where
Mhm.
women will also plateau very, very quickly is in workout styles like that. They'll be like, I'm working out, 4, 5, 6 times a week and nothing's changing within my body. And a lot of
Yeah,
it is one, you're not resting and recovering. Your body has to recover because when you are lifting weights, you are tearing down your muscle essentially. And when you recover, that muscle builds back up and it gets a little bit bigger. So that's pretty much the basis of muscle building is tearing it down and recovery builds it back up. So one,
interesting.
you're not recovering when you're working out 6 days a week. And
Right.
you're doing these intense hour-long sessions of pretty much
Mhm.
cardio the entire time. And
Yeah.
two,
Yeah.
you're not truly pushing your muscles to the extent that they can go because a lot of those
Mhm.
moves again, me being in an Orange Theory class, a lot of people, it's so competitive, which is why people like it, but it turns you really sloppy. You start getting really sloppy with your form. You're trying to lift way heavier than you should, and you're not even working the muscles that you're supposed to be working. You're more prone to
Yeah.
injury. And so, learning how to shift into pretty much doing the same type of strength training workout for at least 6 weeks at a time is so huge for women to be able to like make that transition and again start seeing results, start feeling better, again getting rid of some of that like chronic inflammation that a lot of like that hit or beach body style workouts can
Yeah.
create.
Mhm. Is there a recommendation? Like, do you recommend clients work out morning versus evening, or is it kind of like do what works for you? Or do you specifically know, is there a better time of day?
It's very much do what works for you. Obviously, if you
Okay.
start getting too late in the day, it can mess with your sleep a little bit, just because,
Really?
again, you're more wired, you have more adrenaline
Mm.
pumping through your body. Even if it is
Yeah.
just strength training, like it still gets your blood pumping. And so some people can struggle falling asleep, or you'll have the people that are over caffeinating and slamming pre workout at 5 o'clock at night and then wondering why they can't fall asleep or they don't sleep well. They're waking up always tired. At the end of the day, it very much just depends on, what works best for you, even just like your season of life. That's something I talk about with clients a lot is you may not love like a 5 a.m. workout, but if you have littles and you're kind of in the thick of it, that might be your only time that you get that
Yeah.
like 30 minutes of alone time to focus on
Mhm.
yourself. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
forever, but it may be for the season of life that this is just what you have to do. And so just being able to like talk yourself through that can be a big help too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of where I'm at. Is like for years and years, I've always been an after work workout person. And now that we have Augie, it's like that's not ideal. That's when I get my time with him. And
Yep.
so I'm not a morning person, but learning to incorporate, like you said, even 3 mornings a week, get up a half hour earlier just to get anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes of strength training in to me will be worth it. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, my practitioner preaches that to me, the importance of muscle building. And then hearing you talk, I'm just like, this is lighting a fire under me again. Like, I just feel I need to be more diligent in that area. And so I'm sure there's listeners out there who are like, you are preaching right to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strength training is, I will say, one of the best things that I've incorporated into
Yeah.
my life. Like, one, it teaches your body more resilience because you have to get uncomfortable. And when you
Mhm.
push yourself into uncomfortable positions time and time again, it makes you more resilient. It makes your
Yes.
body better able to handle stress, which is crucial in the time and age that we live in at this point. But it
Yeah.
is one of the best things that I've incorporated for overall health and just like my physique, how it has changed my body. Hands down, it is the one thing to any able-bodied person, especially women, that I suggest doing is strength training and just
Yeah.
starting to move your body and lift weights. It is never too late to start. It is
No.
always such an important thing to start incorporating into your life.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, is there anything you want, like, for all the women listening, is there anything you want them to know when it comes to their body, their health, their mindset? Is there anything, like, one important big takeaway you'd want to share with them?
True knowledge is power, like feeling empowered in your choices and knowing that like you are making the correct choices for your body is such a game changer. Like when I talk about food freedom, like my ability to like go through a day and not really have to focus too much on food. Like it doesn't feel like this overwhelming thing because I've taken the time to learn what my body needs, what that generally looks like. Again, I've gone through my phases of like tracking macros. It is a really, really helpful tool, but I don't use it as a crutch. Like I can easily step away from tracking and just live my life. And I know exactly how to continue eating in order to maintain my body. And again, that just comes from knowledge rather than thinking that nutrition and working out is this scary, overwhelming thing.
Yeah.
Having someone help you understand what that looks like, it is a game changer to be able to like again not have just that overwhelm when it comes to like I have no idea how much I should be eating. Should I be cutting this out of my diet? Like what should I be doing? It is so empowering.
Yeah. Yeah. Very well said. And do you have openings for coaching clients?
I do. I do. So, especially rolling into October. So, usually I stop around December taking more people on just so I can enjoy the holidays and such.
Yep. Yep.
I'd say October and November are a great time to join. A lot of people get like anxious. I think it's like I want to make sure that I can enjoy the holidays. I
Yeah.
always like to say like that's a huge part of it. And when you learn just that lifestyle coaching, it is all about learning like how can I enjoy my life while still making sure that I'm taking care of myself, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
learning how to conquer holidays and not having that either anxiety or fear that it's going to sabotage or you're just going to go all out and then January 1st is going to hit and you feel absolutely horrible about yourself. Learning how to just handle the holidays in a really healthy, appropriate way to still enjoy yourself is so huge because holidays are never going away. That's what I
Yes.
always tell clients holidays, social
Yeah.
situations, like when you can throw yourself into the fire essentially and just like figure
Mhm.
out what does that look like to get through the holidays, how can I enjoy Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the fun stuff in between without feeling restricted. It's going to massively benefit you for the rest of your life because you're going to know how
Yeah.
to go into every single Thanksgiving and Christmas for the rest of your life knowing how to again enjoy yourself without feeling that like restriction or anxiety.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, so we're recording this right now, the beginning of October. The episode's probably going to air, if my memory serves me correctly, it's either mid December or the end of December.
So
So, which I think is
January,
perfect timing
that
because you
is,
know how people are at the start of the new year, which I hate. It's a love hate relationship. Like people are so, I mean, society is like, oh, start the new year with these healthy habits. And you know what the statistics say about like
yep,
when they fall off course or whatever. And
yep,
so this is actually perfect timing because you'll probably be close to
that
kicking off
is.
the new year. So
That
if clients want
is
to work with you going into the new year, will you be accepting new clients?
absolutely.
Okay.
So that is
Awesome.
honestly
Awesome.
perfect. Yeah, because it's usually
Yeah.
right around January 1st is when I start again doing calls to see if we're like a good fit. That is one thing I always like to impress upon people is I'm not a scammy coach that is going to make you feel obligated to sign
Yeah.
on. Like we do a free call, we chat, see if we have kind of like a good fit, see if it sounds like something that you'd like to do. And then the ball's in your court and you make that decision. I'm not forcing you because, again, I like having a client who feels really good about their decision. I don't want a client that felt like they were forced into that decision, because ultimately change has to happen because you want it, not because it's forced upon you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally agree with you.
January is a perfect time for
Yeah.
this to kind of mid-December for it to be airing. That's awesome.
Yeah. So if any of you listeners are like, oh, that's me, I start the year hot and then I usually fall off the wagon by the end of January. If that's you, then you should set up a call with Kate because she'll make sure you
Yep.
don't fall off the wagon, I'm assuming.
Absolutely, and that is usually people are like, "Oh, January must be really busy for you," and I'm like, "It's always February," because people try it
Heck
on their own
yeah.
in January, and then
Hmm.
they're like, "Yeah, it's actually not going so hot," and so that's when more people are like, "Okay, like, I need that accountability come February," and it's great.
Yeah.
I love when people finally make that choice to go all in on themselves. I think
Right.
it makes a huge difference when you see yourself, your health, your body as an investment, because I know it's cliche of saying you only get one, body to live in,
Hmm.
but it's so true. Like, you will either
Yep.
pay the price now by investing in it, by having a coach, buying healthy groceries, going to a gym or buying equipment for home, or you're going to invest in it later. And it's not going to be so fun because it's going to be medical bills and prescriptions and not living the life that you want in your quote unquote golden years.
Yeah. Yep. That's very well said. I completely agree. It's worth the investment. So, if people want to work with you, if they want to take advantage of your coaching, what are some good ways for them to connect with you? I know you mentioned the call is free, but how can they reach out to you initially?
Yep. So typically, most people find me through my Instagram, which is coached by Cate, and that's Cate. So you can go to link my bio, and that is where you can fill out an application, just kind of goes over some information. And then that's when we set up the call. So that is typically how most people reach out and show that they are interested.
Yeah, and even if you guys aren't in need of coaching right now, you should just follow her anyways because as a coach, her content on her page is so valuable. I mean, I have just learned so much from your content and we have
Thank
very
you.
similar views, so I like seek your content out, but
Yeah.
just in general, you guys, she gives such valuable content. So if you're like a health coach, like that's different. Maybe it's a term you've never even heard of, let alone consider using. Just follow her just for her content. And then if down the road you decide like this is something I need for myself, then you already have that follow and you know how to find her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I highly agree with that. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I like to end my collabs with some rapid fire questions. So I feel like I probably know the answer to some of these, but what is a small habit or ritual that makes you feel like your next level self?
Oh, I would say honestly, just following through on the promises that I make to myself. That is a big one because, again, I always like to associate it with that flaky friend, right? A lot of us rely on motivation and it's super flaky. We tend to flake out on ourselves, even though we hate when
Yeah.
other people do that to us. That friend that,
Yeah.
yeah, like, let's get together. And then, oh, wait, can we actually cancel? It doesn't work for me. We
Yeah.
do that to ourselves. And it's so frustrating. Where it's like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to work out tomorrow morning. Like, I'm going to go grocery shopping and I'm going to, like, meal prep for the week, like, whatever your goal is for yourself. And then we flake out and we don't show the same kind of frustration within ourselves. We let that stuff slide. And so just me simply stating what I'm going to do and simply following through and making that promise is huge. Like, that is the number one confidence builder is what I tell my clients is when you follow through on your promises, that's what builds confidence, not a number on the scale or the size on your pants.
I love that. Yeah. Following through. What's one piece of advice that you'd give to your younger self?
Don't drink. Like,
Yes. Preach to
that's
that.
that is one thing
Wow.
we obviously didn't get into, but alcohol, like, it is life-changing
Yep.
in a negative and positive way when you stop drinking it, when you stop consuming it. And it's not to say that, like, I never have a drink, but it's very rare. Like, it is maybe once a month I will have like a drink, like a nice cocktail out at dinner or something like that. But the normalization within our society, again, another norm that happens, especially again, the Midwest specifically,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
just sitting and drinking every single weekend is just what you do. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it, girl. Just, you can have fun in so many other ways. And if you can't have fun with the people you're around without consuming alcohol, they're not fun. They are not
My
fun people. They
gosh.
are not good friends. Like find
Preach to
a
that.
good circle that you would have coffee with on a Saturday morning over having drinks
Mhm.
with at night.
Yep. Preach to that. I could not agree more. Ask every client pretty early on in our therapy journey. I ask every client what their caffeine intake looks like, what their alcohol intake looks like, and
Same.
what their pop intake looks like. Because all of those things, not only your physical health, but your mental health are negatively impacted. Like, it
Yep.
is not worth it.
No,
Yeah.
it is all of it. Like alcohol is such a detriment. Like there is not a single positive that comes from
No.
drinking alcohol. It affects your sleep. It affects the way that you feel. It affects just the inflammation in your body,
Yeah.
increases the likelihood of 7 different types of cancer. It is just not worth it. Like it's just really not.
Yeah. When you show that picture, and you've done it multiple times, that picture of you back in your, I assume your drinking days,
Drinking days.
to you now, I'm like, whoa, like it's not
Yeah.
even the fact that it's a weight difference. You know what I
It's
mean? It's just,
inflammation.
it is like, it's just you, it's not even aging either. It's you just look so much healthier.
Yeah, I look
Yeah.
healthier and better at an older age at almost
Yeah.
32 than I did in my mid-20s. Like,
Yes.
it's
Yep.
astounding, and like I said, it is inflammation, and that is the number one thing that I will preach is it is so inflammatory to your body to drink alcohol
Mhm.
because, again, drastically affects how you sleep. I know you might say, "But,
Yeah.
well, I conk out and I sleep so well."
Yes.
No, you're not.
No, you
Like,
don't.
you may be
No.
passed out, but the quality is so poor. You're not going into a REM cycle or your deep sleep. It is just a light, terrible sleep all night long. Yeah,
Yep.
that is
I used to have the worst nightmares when I would drink alcohol, just the
really,
worst. Oh my god, it was
that's
just the worst. It
terrifying.
was like demons, and my god, it was just the worst, and I don't miss it. I think 4 years I've been alcohol free. That first year, though, I think I might have, like, sparingly had it, but
Yeah.
for the most part, yeah, 4 years, and I won't look back because the last time I let myself just have a drink, I was sick for 4 days afterwards, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I just think my body denies it now, and it's not
Yep.
worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would say it was COVID. I always say that is the
Mhm.
best thing that ever happened with COVID was me not drinking because all the bars shut down. Like you didn't have an option.
Right.
And I wasn't the type of person that ever drank at home. It was completely a social thing. Like I would go out to the
Okay,
bars and
okay.
have fun at the weekend. I would never like on a Tuesday night have a glass of wine. Like it was such
Right.
an all or nothing thing for me that was so unhealthy. Like, I mean, I think binge drinking for a woman is technically drinking more than like I think 4 or 5 drinks in one sitting, and I was like,
Okay.
"Yee." I was like, that
Okay,
was me
gotcha.
every single
Yeah,
weekend, like, binge
yeah.
drinking, which is horrid for your health,
Yeah, it
and
is,
yeah,
yeah.
once the bar shut down, I didn't look back, and I always say, because it's not like I tell clients they can't drink because that is absolutely a personal decision that you have to like finally
Yep,
get to. And a
yep.
lot of people will because they're
Yeah,
just
they
like,
will.
wow, like it is not worth how I feel, how I sleep, how I look, how I act. Like
Mhm.
you are more prone to do the most embarrassing things in your life while
Yep.
drinking, but I've
Mhm.
never had a client say, "Man, I miss the way I look and felt when I used to drink every single weekend." I've never, never, never had a client regret reducing or cutting out alcohol. And I think that says something right
It
there,
does.
where it's just
Yeah,
like
it does.
it, where a lot of people can kind of swap back and forth with like eating really, really healthy and understanding how like good they feel, but they can still get sucked back into like eating poorly. Whereas a lot of times, once you quit alcohol, unless you obviously have like an addiction,
Right.
most people don't go back because they're just like,
Mhm.
wow, like what a waste of time and money and my health on
Mm.
something that
Yep,
just, it doesn't have a place.
yep, completely agree. I don't know, I just feel like I am a better version of myself since quitting drinking
Yep.
than I ever was under the influence. And people push back when you tell them you don't drink, and or when this topic in general comes up of like why you shouldn't drink and why life is better if you don't. People push back and will say things like, I have my best memories when, nights we were drinking in the garage with our buddies. And I would be willing to push back on that and say, like, were they just surface level? Is it just every time reminiscing over the same stories that happened the same amount of years ago? Or is
Yep.
it just surface level? Because I'd be willing to bet it's mostly surface level. I have much more in-depth conversations and connections with people when I am sober, when they are sober.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just really push
Absolutely.
back on that.
No, that is so true. Like
Yeah.
Every time I'd go out to the bars, it was just the people telling the same stories over and over again, like
Yes.
high school,
Yeah.
just
High school.
like
Yep.
the good old days, college. And I'm
Yes.
just like,
Yes.
is this where we're still at?
Yes.
There is
Right.
so
Right.
much, so much more to life. Like life is so
Mhm.
much more fulfilling now that I don't really consume alcohol. It's just like it's not something I even have to really think about. Like my husband and I went to Jamaica at an all inclusive
Yeah.
for a honeymoon. Obviously, you can drink as much as you want. I had one
Mhm.
drink and didn't even finish it because I was like, I don't care.
Wow.
It like it just
Yeah.
it doesn't serve me. I don't care if I'm losing money on the package.
Mm-mm.
I don't care. I
Mm-mm.
want to sleep well. I want to
No.
feel well. I want to enjoy myself. And that was a big piece of it where I was wasting my weekends every single weekend because I would
Mhm.
stay out late drinking, spending money, wake up with a horrendous hangover. Because I will say I was the
Yeah.
same person where I just feel like I do not metabolize alcohol very well.
Yep.
I tend to have way worse hangovers
Yeah.
and just feel miserable. And so it's like I feel miserable all day long, but then just feel good enough to go out and do it again the next night.
Mhm.
And my entire
Mhm.
weekend was just spent pretty much at the bar or in bed or on the couch eating crappy food. Again, just the poor decisions that
Yeah.
culminate when you drink alcohol. It's not
Yeah.
just the alcohol, the toxins and the calories that just they really add up. It's, oh, well, let's go to Taco Bell. Let's do a, grab a pizza and it's just like bad, one bad action just like snowballs into multiple other bad
Totally.
actions, laying on
Yes.
the
Yep.
couch the next day and not getting in movement. And again, just
Yep.
wasting your weekend that you were so excited for. Like that's what
Right.
I find so
Yep.
silly looking back on, where I'm just like, I work all week long and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. It's Friday. I, get a
Mhm.
couple days off of work. And then I'd waste it. Like I
Right.
wasn't actually enjoying myself. I wasn't actually enjoying life. Like,
No.
so
I
it's so
agree.
fulfilling to be away from
Yes.
that scene.
Yes, I completely agree. And yeah, I totally forgot about this topic. I honestly, we could probably do a whole podcast episode talking about alcohol and health and
Seriously.
wellness because it is such a problem. I completely agree. Okay,
Yes.
one last question. If you could manifest one dream instantly, what would it be?
That's a good one. What kind of dream are we talking here? Talking
Well, I
like
mean, sky's the limit, Kate. I mean, you can manifest whatever.
I mean, at this point in my life, I'd say starting a family is kind of our number
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
goal, and that's just kind of what is placed on my heart at this point. So
Beautiful.
that
Yeah.
is kind of the goal that we are working towards, and just again figuring out what family life looks like with a business
Mm,
and how to balance those two and make sure that I never lose sight of motherhood because it's what I
yeah.
want,
Yep.
and again,
I love
just
it.
learning how to balance those two things with
Yeah.
business and baby. So I would say
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at personally.
I love that. I have no doubt you'll manifest that rather quickly. I mean, you are in the healthiest you've probably ever been, and
Yes,
your mindset's in a good place.
I'm working with functional provider and all good
Yeah.
things, making sure labs are good. So again,
Love that.
it's always good
Yep.
to kind of do the deep check, check the engine, check
Hmm.
under the hood and make sure that everything is good.
Yeah, I completely agree. Oh, that's exciting for you. I'm sure I'll have you on again in the future because I just feel
I
there's
hope
so many
so.
topics. Yeah, there's just a lot we can talk on. So I wouldn't be
Yes,
surprised.
I
Yeah,
would love that.
awesome.
This was so good.
Cool. Well, thank you for agreeing to come on and share your expertise with my listeners. And you guys, if there's anything that really resonated with you, or if you're just totally intrigued by health coaching and it's something you've never considered before, even if you're just not sure if it's for you, just DM Kate, reach out to her and ask her questions. Don't be shy. Like I said, even if you're just not sure if it's the right thing, just ask her what you're hesitant about. Ask her all those questions and set up a call with her, whatever feels right for you. But just in general, if there's anything about today's episode that just really hit home for you, I love it when you guys take screenshots, share it in your story, tag me, tag Kate, DM me if there's anything specific that just really hit home for you. I love hearing from listeners. And I just, in general, I really appreciate all of you who have been DMing me, who have been reaching out to me and sharing your compliments and just making me feel like $1,000,000. I really appreciate it. You don't have to do that, but it really does mean the world to me. So thank you again, Kate, for coming on.
Thank you for
And
having me.
Yeah, of course. All right, guys, have a great rest of your week. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys all next week.